bud?
Oh,
Does anybody know? Does anybody know when we're live, Brian?
We might be live right now.
No way.
What
are you kidding me? What's going on, everybody? It's Pete and Brian. We're live on LinkedIn Live. We are live on Facebook Live. We will eventually be live on YouTube, but that's a whole nother thing we have to figure out. So if you don't have Facebook or LinkedIn, you are out of luck. But you're also maybe listening, Brian, on the recorded version, on the podcast, on Podbean, or on any streaming service. You've reached the Pete and Brian experience.
What's up, Podbeaners?
How are all the listeners out there? Hey, how are you doing, Brian? What's happening in your world?
Oh man, things are going gangbusters over here. I feel like for the last few episodes, I've told you that it feels like fall outside, and that hasn't changed.
Yes,
it's been beautiful. Last year we got robbed, I thought, of our fall. With lots of early snowfall, but man, this year it's nice. There's pumpkins in the garden, and things are good.
We've talked about this. It's our favorite season, man. Fall is our favorite season. It's awesome. We love it. It brings us joy. The cool weather. Up here, we're in the 80s right now in Alabama, but we're going to get down to the 60s and sunny this week. And since the Florida Gators are now playing this weekend, that frees up my whole Saturday to go do whatever I want. So thank you all for joining us tonight. We're going to get the theme song going because we got a fun-filled show tonight where we talk about a whole bunch of stuff around leadership and laughs. So hang tight. Let's see if I can get this bad boy to work. Hey!
I was singing along with a marker.
I'm always singing along. All right, topic 1, the Supreme Court confirmation hearings tonight. Topic 2, the election. Topic 3 will be climate change. Brian, go.
Well, no, we're not doing any of that.
No, we're not. we don't do that. You know why? Because this is the best hour of your week, Brian. And
there's plenty of other places to get information on all of those very important topics.
That is correct.
We're just here to talk a little bit about leadership and have some laughs and check out this shiny bald head of mine here.
Yeah, both of us. See, but you do have a good head of hair. You just choose to do that.
Well,
I don't choose to do this.
That used to be true, but I started growing a solar panel up here in this little area, so it's smooth right now, even though the rest of it's starting to stipple in a little.
Basically, we're driving everybody to the pod to the audio only version is what we're doing with this live stream. So real quick, if you're joining us for the first time tonight, thank you. We're going to have a fun hour. We want you to play along. We want you to type comments live in the Facebook feed or in the LinkedIn feed, whichever one you're kind of watching or playing along live. If you're doing the live version, we're going to play some games where you can play along. So as always, start off by putting something in the chat about where you're listening from or a fun fact about yourself or anything that we can get started. We normally start with good stories, and today is no option, Brian. So let's play your theme song and get everybody fired up about the 3 good stories we're going to lead off with. I cut myself off as I was saying. We call this segment Leading Off with Brian, because he's important, and it's like the baseball person who leads off. He's raring to go. All right.
Hey, I'm important. That was awful.
You're extremely important. Lead off is very important, buddy. Do you know how many viewers we could lose if these stories that you put out there stink? So keep that in mind. There's a lot of pressure every week. We should probably do so. We should probably reorder this and do the game. Never mind. All right.
I hope these.
Go ahead, buddy.
Everybody. We talked last week on our last episode about the massive layoffs of Disney cast members as a result of the continuing pandemic. And, we know that the Disney community is vast and strong.
Yes.
And right now, their shared love of Disney magic is more important than ever. So
Absolutely.
we talked before about, hire a cast member if their resume comes by your desk.
Yep.
And, there's this story concerns some bloggers on a popular site called the DisneyTouristBlog.com.
Okay.
DisneyTouristBlog.com.
All right.
And so after the company recently announced mass layoffs, these bloggers organized a virtual fundraiser that has now netted Pete more than $60,000 for a local food bank in Central Florida.
How much?
Over $60,000. That's courtesy of Sarah and Tom Bricker, who started
Wow.
a fundraiser to honor Disney park employees who are out of work. But the donations are going to benefit the whole community. And as you see in the picture here, Pete, you and I are familiar with the Second Harvest Food Bank.
Absolutely.
They received the donations, and Second Harvest said that the need has ballooned over the last few months as the Central Florida area struggles with a huge dip in tourism because of the pandemic. So,
I think I told you last week that I found an article that said that a lot of these cast members at all not just, Disney's the biggest employer, but all of your other associated restaurants and shows and attractions, there are no homeless shelters in Osceola County. Didn't know if you knew that or not. So a lot of these hotels, which are not being filled up because there's no tourists, are being used to house short-term a lot of people who are living paycheck to paycheck, like many of us are, and now aren't getting anything in. So the idea of having a full-time job at Disney, doing well, having enough to feed your family, and then having to go to a food bank and it's probably something that they're just not expecting.
And to your point, it's not just Central Florida. It's all over the United States, and the DisneyTouristBlog.com folks also encouraged Disney fans to support the West Coast as well. There's a Second Harvest Food Bank, I think, in Orange County, California. So whether you live in Central Florida or not, we're all part of the same community as Walt Disney World fans, is what they said. So if anybody out there wants to put a little more kindness in the world, maybe consider visiting DisneyTouristBlog.com. Yeah, you can see the links to the fundraiser right here.
Yep, DisneyTouristBlog.com. Look at that. Well done. Wait, are you saying? Wait, so I can't get my arm around it, can I?
It's kind of reversed. This is weird. It looks like.
How do I get my hand over there? I want my hand. Hey, put my hand up real quick and point at it.
Put your hand up.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead. Put your hand up, and then we'll pretend it's my hand. Okay. Move your head. Move your head out of the pocket, and now put my arm up and point to it. No, move your head. Okay, now put my arm up. Put your arm up. Okay, that's me. Now make go up and down. Now point. You're so stupid.
Leadership and loonies.
Oh my word. Love that story, man. And love that, and feel for all of our friends down there and all the people that are working. So again, there's lots of cast members that are looking out for each other. So keep on. We'll keep on sharing those stories. All right, good. What do you got? Speaking of people out there taking care of each other, huh?
Yeah. How about this one? As you can see in the title right here on the page, sometimes during this pandemic, one of the things that we've noticed is, like, my kids really miss school, and that really wasn't the case before the pandemic. So sometimes it takes extreme circumstances to make you miss things like school desks. So back in September, a California dad named Mitchell Couch, he's a father of four. There he is. He's on the picture here for those of you who aren't watching live. Father of four from Lemoore, California. He got so frustrated with the chaos and the clutter that a lot of us experience with distance learning. Kids at home. He went out to the hardware store, and he got some lumber and built a few desks so that his kids could have their own space for the distance learning that's required. Well, Mitch, he posted his handiwork on some of his social media accounts and almost immediately began getting feedback from other parents who wanted to know how to make their own versions of this desk as well.
Wow.
So he responded and posted an instructional video on the YouTube. And, things like this kind of take off. So a few days later, a local grocery store offered to pay for and fund the supplies if Mitch would agree to go ahead and build desks for other students in need there in the school district who
Nice.
needed their own space to learn. So within a week, he had employed his family to build over 40 desks.
Look at that picture.
It's a need, yeah. And then they took it even further, Pete. They realized there are so many households right now who really don't have a space for their child to participate in distance learning. So these guys set up a GoFundMe account so they can keep supplying desks through the local schools in their district.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And I didn't, all of these that you come up with make me feel like less of a person because I'm like, yeah, I mean, is that your goal?
Yes.
Because I'm like, I'm not making a desk for people. And I mean, I do we all do charity in different ways. I've given to causes and all that. And so you have to find something that's like near and dear to your heart. So not all of us can build desks or whatever, but this is a great story. This is a great story.
It's also good to kind of point out how, maybe you don't want to build 40 desks or don't have the time to do that, but maybe you got a few extra bucks kicking around and want to support something like Second Harvest Food Bank or the desks.
Disney Tourist Blog. Yeah.
There you go.
Or the desk thing. Yeah.
Or whatever's going on in your neck of the woods.
Anything is good. And now, as most of you who listen to watch know, me and Brian don't have a lot of prep time. In fact, my fantastic co-host hopped on today about 6:56 as we try to get ready. And so we don't talk a lot. So I got to be honest, this next story that we're going to share before we move on, it actually stumped me. I had no idea what you were talking about or who this person was. So maybe I'm out of the loop or maybe I don't follow pop culture, but I'm excited for you to share this final leading off story with us.
All right. So you haven't heard of the Ocean Spray skateboarding guy.
I have not.
Yeah, this, I imagine a lot of our listeners have. His name is Nathan Apodaca. And he's the TikTok star who this week he hopped on his skateboard and lip synced to Dreams by Fleetwood Mac while clutching a bottle of Ocean Spray, looks like cran raspberry juice. Okay. And I don't know, this guy, there was something about this video. It's really short. My kids are on the TikTok and this really blew up and truly went viral over the last, 6 or 7 days. And it actually resulted in a streaming spike for the song Dreams from Fleetwood Mac.
Fleetwood Mac, okay.
So they've been shooting up the charts. It's been everywhere this week.
Good song, good band.
There's been, Fleetwood Mac actually retweeted him. Their appreciation said that they owed him one for bringing their song goes back in the streaming services, and Mick Fleetwood's getting more money now.
Right.
And in fact, he even started his own TikTok. He didn't have one before. There he is. There's Mick Fleetwood there on the left. Started his own TikTok account just to create his own version of Nathan's video.
Okay.
People really enjoyed it because this guy's just kind of, if you go to Instagram and follow Dogface208, this is just, this guy is just a regular guy like you and me. But apparently there is a reason he was on his skateboard that day. His car broke down.
Okay.
And he had to get to work. So he says his car sometimes shuts down from time to time, and it kind of died right there on the highway. And he didn't want to wait to flag somebody down to get a jump. So he just grabbed his juice and his skateboard and skated off to work. And as he did, he, selfie filmed himself doing this, just kind of being in his own vibe. Okay. So that happens from time to time. Well, Ocean Spray heard about all of this. And of course, their sales went up and they appreciated all the free publicity. So this week, they showed up at Nathan's house and surprised him with a brand new truck for him that was full of his beloved Ocean Spray juice.
No way.
Yeah, dreams come true for Dogface 208, Nathan Apodaca, who's suddenly famous this week because, he was just kind of going with the flow.
That is a good story. I mean, that's a real nice story, but I now realize, as our buddy Pam Campbell, who's listening along right now, Brian, ask me if I have a TikTok account.
Pete, do you know what TikTok
I do not. Ask me if I have an Instagram account.
Pete, do you?
I do not. Brian, ask me if I have a Twitter account.
Do you have Twitter?
I have finally shut down my Twitter as of 2 weeks ago. So it's amazing how far behind social culture you are when you don't have TikTok, Instagram, or Twitter.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure everyone is like, dude, what moron doesn't know Snoop Dogg 1928 or Dogface
208.
Dogface 208, man.
I'll tell you what, I have an Instagram account and I have a LinkedIn account and I have a Twitter account and I have a Facebook account. And over the last few years, I just really don't visit most of them.
Yeah.
So I'd like to get back on top of my LinkedIn. I think that's probably the very best one to do.
Yes, it would at this particular stage in your career. LinkedIn would be the perfect option. Yes.
So yeah, I think we should all be doing that. I learned about this story on Reddit. Do you have a Reddit account?
I do not.
Yeah, you need to get on Reddit. It's the front page of the internet.
Yeah, I spend some time I found these. Have you heard of these?
What are those?
They take words and they
or for sure.
Yeah, I don't. Awesome. So hey, good stories, bro. Appreciate you. Hey, let's get to our next segment, buddy. Are you ready?
Yeah, let's do.
This is going to be called Leadership Starts at the Top, and we've got a special opening. So here we go.
Do you want your leadership lessons in bite-sized chunks? Then you're in luck. It's time for Leadership Starts at the Top.
Do you like your leadership in bite-sized chunks, buddy? Just little morsels.
I really like the voiceover there. Was that Olivia Newton-John?
I believe it was. It was either her or Dame Judi Dench. In fact, we like it so much we'll play it again.
Do you want your leadership lessons in bite-sized chunks? Then you're in luck. It's time for Leadership Starts at the Top.
That's good stuff. That's good stuff. All right, here's what we're going to do, everybody. We're going to take just a little bit of time. You hear leadership starts at the top, Brian. You're like, oh, they're going to talk about top-level leadership and executive development and all that. No.
Top-down leadership.
No, we're not.
Wait,
we're not talking about it. We're just doing a top 3, a top 5, a top 8. Leadership starts at the top because we like it in bite-sized chunks. So today, buddy, judging by the ticker going across the bottom, what do you think we're going to talk about for the next couple minutes?
Leadership starts at the top. That's going to be the top 3 common time wasters, Pete, at work. And it's courtesy of LifeHack.
Absolutely. So let's talk about wasting time. Now, the interesting thing about this, those of you who are watching and listening, you can play along at home. It's not really a game. The game's coming up. But when we talk about wasting time, it affects all of us in the workplace. There's a couple big days that just happened recently, Brian. They're not quite holidays, but they should be. Do you know what's been going on in the internet world over the past, which ends tonight?
Unfortunately, yes, I do know because I have been scoping the deals there on Amazon Prime Day.
Amazon Prime Days, my friend. So again, there's lots of opportunities out there for us to waste time. Now, some of you are still working remotely. Some of you maybe still be going, maybe you're on the front line. So none of this really, you're like, I don't have time to waste. But depending on how you're working and what you're doing, I think all of us sit back and say there's things that can waste our time at work. So we're just here to share with you today, according to this research, what in the world are the top 3 time wasters. My smoking hot wife agrees with you that she has been getting her holiday Christmas shopping done in advance. So, Brian, what is your number 1 time waster? What wastes your time most?
People. I'm easily distracted by people.
Now, you have to, again, remind everyone, we don't talk before the show.
We don't talk before the show. No, that's an honest guess. I did not think that was going to be one of the top 3. Oh yeah, that's definitely me.
Yes.
I'm not surprised when, I work from home now during the pandemic, but I've also officed out of my home for the last 8 years now.
Yes.
But prior to that, always in a corporate environment, and always distracted by people.
And this one, buddy, frustrates me because 14% of the people took the survey said that this was the number one biggest time waster. They said cutting out water cooler talk may be the quickest and most surefire way to reduce wasted time at work. If you just don't have the social talk, you don't have the water cooler. And granted, I mean, absolutely, you're right. If we didn't have that, we'd have more time. I go to the other side, which is what kind of workplace do you want to be in where you don't have that? In fact, I've been working remotely since March. Beginning next week, we're going back like on a 50-50, 3 days in, 2 days out, 2 days in, 3 days. We're going to kind of ease back into it. So I was in the office today getting some stuff cleaned up and getting ready. And my coworker showed up who I hadn't seen in person in probably, months. And he's like, what's going on? I'm like, what's going on? I said, what are you doing here? Well, I've got a thing downstairs. And I'm like, oh, you're back. And we talked for like 20 minutes. And I thought to myself, this is what I'm missing. But I also thought to myself, now I'm out 20 minutes. now I'm behind. Now I'm behind in my work. So, I mean, it may not be a time waster. And again, that's what Sherry says. She says building relationships will help you collaborate and do more later. Are you buying that, Brian? That we need?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and not just because it's Sherry, but yes. My thought is, I would not want to work in an office or a company where you're not allowed to build those relationships. And
right.
You need to have that rapport with your coworkers. I also realize that it can cross the line and become a drain on productivity. So I think leaders need to kind of keep an eye on that as well and foster both. So you get a good medium.
Yeah, they don't have to be mutually exclusive. And again, if you're watching us live on Facebook or if you're watching us live on LinkedIn during this session, if you want to type in what your time wasters are as we go through the next few ones of these, what are the most common time wasters for you at work? We've already covered number one, which is chatting with coworkers. But Brian, we teach a class, and again, being in leadership training, we do all this management training, and we do this training class on time management. Right. And we talk a lot in there about setting boundaries and how you have to build relationships and all that. But if you've got a person who's always coming in and they don't have enough work to do, so their job is pretty much walking around talking to people, you've got to say, hey, now's not a good time. Can we talk later? Or, hey, let's not, because you know who those people are who will find you and just, bail out, and then leave you hanging with all the extra work to do. Boy, my wife's on fire today, buddy. She also agrees that people who like their coworkers are much less likely to leave an organization. So again, if she's talking corporate culture, if you're talking, this is how we do things around here, we create an environment where people can do this. It's going to be interesting with COVID, Brian, as people start going back to the workplace, because this is going to happen where I work. Even though we're going back to the workplace, we now all have been segmented. So we used to be 6 people in one office, probably the size of a maybe 20 by 20 room, 6 of us. Now we've all been scattered out. Only 2 of us can be in the office at one time. So even when we're there, we're not going to be there, and we're not supposed to be walking around. So again, until we get through the pandemic, right, it's going to be interesting to see how we do this.
A paradigm shift.
Yep, no doubt. All right, buddy, what's number 2? You know what? I'm not even going to. You were so good on number 1. Non-work related internet surfing. And we did cover this today, buddy. 64%. Wait, hang on a second. 64% visit non-work related sites every day during work hour. And the amount of time spent, this may or may not blow your mind. The amount of time spent about between 0 and 1 hour, 39% of people said they do that. And between 1 and 2 hours, 29%. So you've got 68%, almost, that is over 2/3 of workers say they are spending between 0 and 2 hours surfing non-work related sites. What's your thought on that? We need it. It's part of our culture now. It is what it is. Or are you the opposite side, which is lock these sites down. Don't let people on them. They don't need to be on these sites at work.
That's a hard one. We
No,
what?
I sneezed. Go ahead.
I remember when I 10 years ago, the infrastructure couldn't even handle streaming. You know what I mean? Right. It was a drain on everyone. So if somebody there was a site back then called WeatherBug. You remember WeatherBug?
I do remember WeatherBug.
You running on your computer, and it was a huge drain on your internet bandwidth. Or sites like YouTube, and they really, really can. I mentioned Reddit before. That can be a huge just time waster, because you scroll and scroll and scroll, and the content just keeps appearing there on your screen. So we talk
about that. I mean, we talk about that too in our time management training class. We recommend Google for one reason as the search engine, because when you use Google as a search engine, it's just a box, right? It's just a box in the middle. And so you put in what you're looking for, work with, and you go. If you use Yahoo or Bing or any of these others, all the news stories are up while you're searching. It's like, well, I need to know what Prince Charles thinks about this. Or, oh my word, I was looking for this, but I need to know how many carrots a human being can eat in 1 hour, And so there's all this stuff coming at us all the time. So I guess from a leadership point of view, Brian, here's my question to you and to the audience. Is there a happy medium? Because I think we've gotten to a point when you and I started, everything was locked down, and there were policies and things that said you will not go on non-related sites at work. Now we've gone the opposite way, which is, well, they're going to do it on their phones. And so if we lock everything down, they're going to be doing it anyway. So let's just say it's okay. Take a few minutes when you need to kind of decompress. But as that opened Pandora's box now, and now people are spending 2 hours on Amazon Prime Day.
I can see it both ways. Our company has a lot of those sites locked down on the work computers, but I had to have them for my particular role with marketing and communications. I need to be able to access YouTube and social media sites like Twitter and Facebook. Yep. The problem can be that my account for our company's Facebook account is actually tied to my personal Facebook account. It has to be. And so what that means is, when I log into the company one, I still get like updates, the little updates from my personal one. So it's hard not to, want to click on that and see what Pete Blank just posted about, whatever. Hey, it's a new Pete's Points.
I know.
But I know. So friends on these social sites with a lot of my coworkers, so they're going to know if I'm, posting cute cat videos at 2 p.m.
Carl said, go Gators, Carl, that again, then they start chatting. So now they're chatting back and forth and using Facebook Messenger or using IM or things like that, and so it can really, you can go down a rabbit hole. What's up, Todd? Glad you're here today. Appreciate you. Wade and Christy are with us, buddy. And Wade Cox is a firefighter that saved my life during the tornado of 2012. Are you familiar with that story, Brian? Have I told you about the tornado of 2012 that almost took my life?
I am familiar with that story, I believe.
I use it in everything I do. So real quick, because we got to get to the game. Here's what people said in the study: how workers waste time online. 1.2 hours per week on social networks. 0.5 hours per week on online gaming. I don't do online games at work, but surprisingly, fantasy football only 0.12 hours per week, which I found because I know a lot of people who spend a lot of time on fantasy football. But you only spend 0.12 hours per week. So that's good. All right, final one, buddy. The third time waster as we get to this last one. Shocking, useless meetings. And this is getting worse with Zoom, because what used to be a phone call or a drop by, let's set up a Zoom to talk about that. And again, I think Zoom is making us more dependent on meetings and is taking up more and more of our time. I'm not sure if other people are feeling that as well. What's your take on the current status of meetings where you work, buddy?
you know what? Useless meetings has been a problem for a long time before Zoom was ever created. How many times?
Okay. Yeah.
How many times have we sat in a conference room with 12 other people, and you look, and I go over here and I go to you, Pete. This could have been an email.
Right. Right. Absolutely. And that's why 37% of people felt at least half of the time in meetings was wasted. And part of that goes back to in Outlook, I think it defaults. If you set up a meeting in Outlook calendar, does it default to 1 hour? I think like if you put in 12 o'clock, the 1 o'clock pulls up, or if you put in 9 o'clock, the 10 o'clock pulls up as the end time. When really these could be 15 minutes or 12 minutes or 18-minute meetings, but I think we default to 30 minutes and an hour. And so we feel like we have to fill that time. So, yep. Not productive meetings. Brian, here's the things people do in meetings. They daydream. Give me a thumbs up or thumbs down on these. And you're daydreaming. They just miss them all together. 96% said they'll just bail out and not go. 73% said they'll do other work in a meeting. I'll bring my laptop. I'll bring do my other stuff. And 39% may have fallen asleep one time or another during a meeting. Cannot confirm or deny that I've done that. And Carl brings up the management side of leadership, which I love. You'll be able to find if they're spending too much time, if they're not hitting their numbers, if they're not. So, I mean, we can always look at measurement and productivity to kind of find out what's going on. So those are your three things. So again, from a leadership point of view, Brian, if you want to get back a little more time and not be wasting time at work, according to the study, minimize some of the chat with coworkers, stay off the non-work related internet sites, and bail out of the useless meetings. Some people will say some of our chatter, Brian, is a waste of time, and all they do is sit back and wait for this magical song to start. Yeah, I'm going to open my mic. I'm going to say it. I'm not afraid, buddy. This is the world-famous leadership statistics game show that's known around the world because we are listened to in multiple countries. So it's an international sensation. This is my buddy Brian in a little game we call Over and Under. I wish I had an applause button. That's awesome. Let's go. Let's go. Tell us how to play.
All right. So Over and Under works like this. I'm going to be presenting a few interesting and hopefully interesting, timely statistics, and Pete and all of you are going to have to decide if the actual number is over or under the number I give you. It's legalized gambling right here on Leadership.
Oh, as Dave Letterman used to say, this is a exhibition, not a competition. So as always, no wagering, please.
No wagering on the stupid bet tricks.
See, dude, that's when late night television was good.
And
mid 80s, me and my buddy Todd Meiniger would live in the same fraternity house room, and we had a small 13-inch color television up in this loft, and we would stay up and watch Dave Letterman. And whenever there was a funny joke or something fun, we would use our pens and we would write down the joke on the hardwood of the loft, so we would have a record of all the funny jokes he ever told.
That's more impressive than my. There it is. No wagering. My dad bought me a color TV with a remote control back in the 80s. It was a huge deal for me, and I would stay up late and watch Letterman in order to not fall asleep, so I could stay up late enough to then sneak out of the house.
I'm going to take the over. The chances of you getting punished. Over 50%.
Vacation, so hopefully they're not watching.
The Velcro suit on Letterman when he would jump up against the. Remember when he would send people and just? Oh man, okay, we should do a whole show. Okay,
we can do over under on Letterman.
Yes, yeah.
But in this one, Pete, we've talked before about generations in the workplace, and we've all heard extensively about millennials. I feel like we've been talking about the millennials now for 20 years. And there's a new study that's come out that has given some more insight into the newest generation entering the workforce. And they're called Generation Z.
Uh-huh.
Gen Z is people like your children and my children. And you know,
now let us be clear, Brian. As leadership trainers and management experts, we waffle back and forth on the value of stereotyping entire groups of people in a certain age range. So while the data is out there that does this, I'm not sure you and I are going to say that everybody in Gen Z or Gen X or does all the same stuff. So let's just clarify that. I feel like
generalize. We don't want to label, but there are insights that can be gained, especially from this particular study, which was actually done from a marketing perspective. If you're marketing to a certain generation, but I found that there's leadership insights here as well. So,
okay, let's do it.
Might be fun. So we're talking about consumers ages 13 to 24. Gen Z.
How is a 13-year-old a consumer? We just stop right there.
Wait till we get.
Oh my. Okay. All right. Go ahead. Sorry. This is why we should talk ahead of time, maybe, so I wouldn't be like ruining your bits. All right.
Well,
go.
Let's go for the very first one. So, as a consumer group, Generation Z, and yes, 13-year-olds, absolutely. I have a 13-year-old at home, and I asked her the other day, I said, you know, Prime Day's here. Do you have any money? Is there anything you want me to look for, you know, get you a deal on Amazon? She's like, well, I've saved up about $300. I'm like, you have $300? I don't have $300.
Right.
Can I have
stupid? Because we don't get birthday money anymore. That's what the problem is. All right. Todd says over, by the way, and we haven't even gotten there yet. All right. So go ahead.
All right. So let's talk about as consumer groups. As a consumer group, Generation Z, that's consumers ages 13 to 24, have an estimated yearly spending power of over or under $500 billion.
Okay. Like, this is going to be a total guess because none of us know unless we're all reading the Wall Street Journal tonight. So Todd asked what the question is. So you're saying 13 to 24-year-olds, do they have spending power over or under 500 billion? Now, let's be very clear. The answer is going to be under, because really the only people who are spending in that area are 18 to 24. So 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 aren't really in my mind. That's where my mind's going. So I'm going to take the under. If all they really did have jobs and money and all that, it would be, I'm taking the under. Just like everybody else.
What is
Todd also says over. He'll be wrong. Scott is taking the over. He will also be wrong. My smoking hot wife is never wrong, but in this case, she is. Buddy Carl, who works in finance, I believe, or law or hospitality. He might also work in social work. I don't remember. He's taking the over. I'm taking the under. I'm the only one.
All right. Everybody but Pete gets a bell. Pete can suck it. No bell.
Suck it.
Yeah. Let's talk about a yearly spending power of $1.2 trillion. Now, I assume that's worldwide, but still.
Madison took the over. Anthony took the over. $1.2 trillion, 13 to 24. No wonder the advertising on TikTok and the advertising on Facebook and all of this is driven towards them. That's why we're not seeing any more cigar commercials and things like that. Carl, I know, buddy. Just throwing that out there, having some fun.
By the way, finance, not finance. Finance, apparently.
Yes.
I've been saying it wrong all this time.
Yes.
So, things that are important to this cohort. We're talking about social responsibility, community building, individuality, nurturing friendships, new ways of communicating, a la TikTok, all 10 key themes for this group.
What do you think about Anthony's comment? They're spending, but not their money.
Well, that's true for the 13, 14, 15-year-old. Not true for the 18 to 24s.
Yeah. No, I was guilty during that time, because you remember, again, we sound like two old fogies the more we do this. I mean, I'm 30, you're over 50. But the more we do this, the more I sound like I'm because back in our day, if we wanted something and we asked for it, we had to wait till a holiday like Christmas or our birthday. Nowadays, our kids go, their birthday's 2 months away. I'll get it for you now and figure something else for you. So yeah, I mean, we've all been there. All right, I'm 0 for 1. Let's go. Bring on the next one.
Okay, so let's talk about. Again, this is from a marketing perspective, but you'll see how it ties into the leadership in a second.
Okay.
Let's talk about consumers who watch a skippable ad. You know those ads that come on YouTube, and you have to watch the first 3 seconds before you hit skip, right?
Correct.
And almost always, for me anyway, I'm hitting skip.
Yeah.
I don't like advertisements. It drives me crazy. My wife can attest when we spend money for the ad-free Hulu, but there are still shows that show you advertisements. Even though, and I'm like, I'm paying for the ad-free version.
This isn't really an advertisement, Brian. This is more of just a marketing promotional segment before, yeah.
So anyway, skippable ads. Let's talk about the generations that are currently in the workforce. I'm going to give you baby boomers first.
Check.
What percentage of each generation who watched a skippable ad for less than 2 seconds correctly remembered it later? Okay.
Oh, this is good.
So,
okay. Hang on. Did they watch the entire skip? They only watched 2 seconds of the ad.
Only 2 seconds of the ad.
Could they remember?
What it says is less than 2 seconds.
Okay.
So less than 2 seconds of a skippable ad, but remembered it later.
Okay. All right.
Generation X. Okay, that's our generation.
Yes.
And baby boomers. So this is Gen X and baby boomers together.
Okay. So people right now who are between the ages of late 40s all the way up to their 70s. Okay.
Over or under 44% remembered that ad later.
Okay. Todd, I think, just thought that the older you get, the more you can't remember. So he posted before you even finish the question, under 44%. See, here's the deal. If it's a really good, here's the problem with those skippable ads. Like, I'll look at it and see that it's a car, or I'll see this for outdoor equipment, but I won't stay long enough to say that it's a Lexus or that it's, for like G. So I'm not sure I'm going to remember that as well. So again, Scott's going to go under. Oh, my sweet daughter who is watching tonight, she takes the under. Carl thinks under. Our buddy Anthony Hughes, go Rebels, who I believe actually changed their name recently. We'll talk about that. And Sherry said over. So we've got the majority of people think that less than 44% of Xers and boomers can remember an ad 2 seconds and remember it later. I'm going to go with my wife because she's never wrong. So I'll take the over as well. So 2 of us on the over, the rest are on the under. Wade says under. Lay it on me. Give me a bell.
Once again, everybody but Pete and Sherry gets a bell. It's under 26%.
I hate her.
Only 26% of Gen X and baby boomers remembered a skippable ad later on.
What percentage?
26.
I'm sorry.
And I'll tell you this, my over-under was actually supposed to be 33% because it's a little closer to the real number. But you said ages 44 and up, and that got 44 in my head. So that's what I said, and I stuck with it.
Well done. Well done. See, Todd can't remember the question, so he's
that's on me, Todd.
All right, give me one more, baby. I'm ready.
All right.
So far I'm over 2. But if I get at least 1 out of 3, I'm going to reward the entire watching and listening audience with a Leadership and Laughs digital mouse. It's got the logo on it. It connects, goes right to your house. So if I get this one, sending it out to everybody. So pretty excited. Go ahead.
This is actually the second half of the second question, okay? So now let's Gen Z. Gen Z? Yeah, so Jennifer Z, Generation Z, when they watch a skippable ad for less than 2 seconds, what is the percentage of those folks who correctly remember it? Over or under 50%?
Over. If we're only 26% in the Gen X, 2 seconds, they're watching. They can do so many things at one time. Hey, what was that? Lexus. Hey, what was that? Joe Camel cigarettes. Joe Camel cigarettes. Hey, what was that? They can remember right away. Absolutely.
Alexa, it made my Alexa on my desk go, whoop.
Oh,
all right. What do
yes.
you say, over or under for Gen Z? Same question.
All right. By the way, the reason why I'm giggling so much is my ex-girlfriend's name was Jen, and her last name started with a Z. So it was Gen Z. So whenever you say Gen Z, it makes my wife and me giggle. She may be watching. Who knows? Hope she's having a good life and career. David Anderson. Goodness, great. We're rolling out all the old high school buddies today. He's saying under. Wade's going to go over. My buddy Todd says under. Again, Madison's going under. You have really done a nice job here of changing this up. Anthony says they're wired that way. They're wired to remember everything. They can do that. He's going over 50%. Sherry's going with the under. I'm going with the old reliable Tony Hughes, who's I think 2 for 2 tonight. We're going to go with the over.
Yeah, Hughes got it right. It's 55%. So 55% of people in Generation Z who watched a skippable ad for less than 2 seconds could still correctly remember it later on, which is much higher than it was for the millennials, 46%, Gen X, us, 26%. And so, a lot of folks have argued that, this newest generation has a super short attention span, which can be a challenge for marketers and leaders in your organization. But I guess they want to use this to show that, you can get a higher ROI on your marketing if you do tailor it correctly. So,
I mean, Brian, this is so funny because every time I get to a skippable ad, I skip it as soon as I can. And in the back of my mind, I keep telling myself, why are they spending this money? Who are these morons who know that everybody is pushing the button after 5 seconds? What a waste of advertising dollars. But to hear you say that they're getting a 55% of return on people who watch for 2 seconds, who have a spending power of over, $1.2 trillion. They don't need billboards. They don't need all that stuff. We just need you to watch this for 2 seconds. 2 seconds. So, which again, for those of us who work in organizations, and we go to our leaders and say, we should probably advertise on social media and on TikTok and all this, and we get the pushback. Now we've got some data to validate that.
Absolutely. So, all right, that leads us to our last question. And you and I used to do a lot of customer service training at Disney, and frankly, both of us still do a lot of customer service training in our current roles. And one of the things that we talk about, at least in my company, is brand preference. And how to.
I'm sorry, you can't use the term brand preference anymore. It's offensive. Thank you. I'll be here all week. You haven't been watching the hearings, have you?
Brand loyalty?
Okay. No, never mind. It's if you get it, you get it. All right, go ahead. So I'm sorry. I'll explain after the show.
I need to watch TikTok.
No, you're watching TikTok. I'm watching the Supreme Court hearings. Go. Okay.
Okay. So, all right.
Brand preference, you were saying.
We're talking about brand preference generationally. Again, we're talking generalization of generations. And what percentage of Gen Z, Jennifer Z, say that brands help them express themselves? So they actually have a higher rate of brand preference than many of the other generations have had. So brand preference now over or under 60% for Gen
100% over. 100% over that Generation Z chooses brands that align and want to use brands that express who they are and their identity. Again, we tend to stereotype, and if I'm right, I'm right. But think back to us, Brian. I mean, and people who are, if I needed to get a pair of Sundex. Do you remember Sundex back in the 80s? They were bathing suits that had the big rainbow, ironically, the big rainbow across the butt that were there. They were also OPs and all these pairs. I mean, you had to have that stuff because you were young and impressionable, that aligned with kind of who you are. So again,
jeans.
Yes.
I had to have an acid wash.
Acid wash. Jeez.
I had
Ridiculous.
Oakley sunglasses was a big deal.
Oh, absolutely. Everyone's going over. Sherry says, doesn't matter the number. It's going to be over. Todd's wrong. He thinks he's good, but he's not. Tony's taking the over. The reputation of the brand may play in there. So most people are going with the over, buddy. What do you got?
Everybody's right. So 65% of younger consumers say that brands help them express themselves, compared to only 40% for Gen X and baby boomers.
Yeah.
So, this higher rate of brand preference gives us an opportunity to understand, who's coming into our businesses and why customer service is so important and why you want to create that brand loyalty for your organization.
Man, they're choosing base. It's awesome. Good stuff tonight, buddy. I appreciate that. Those are really good. Thank you all for playing along. Again, if you got 3 out of 3, you get to go shout it from the hilltops today. If you're having a bad day at work tomorrow and someone you go, hey, I was 3 out of 3 on over under. So suck it is basically what you're going to be telling people. Just to continue the joke about what happened today, my buddy Jack Williams, who is also says it's no longer brand preference, it's brand orientation. So well done, Jack. He also has no TikTok, I'm sure, and watches Supreme Court hearings. So, all right, good job, man. I love that. That was awesome. We got one more. Oh, let's do one more thing here real quick. But before we get to that, for those of you who have been watching, just for fun, let's share the audio. Here we go.
Let me remind you, this is only an exhibition. This is not a competition. Please, no wagering. Now.
Oh, it's just quality. It's quality stuff, man. That's old school. All right, here we go. We finish up, buddy, talking about what I call the Daily Disney, where we talk about all the cool things in the Disney organization. Brian, look at us, man. Where are you at? Oh, there's pictures of us. There you are.
Here we are. I was muted.
Man, I unmuted you. Let's spend the last 5 minutes talking the Daily Disney. We like to take our leadership tips from some things that Disney does well, some things Disney doesn't do well, and just kind of share that with you all and kind of take it out for a spin. Brian, what's in the news from the Disney company? Last week we had a lot of terminations. We talked about hiring Disney people. What else have you heard about this week? Because we don't talk in advance. It's on the bottom. What is it?
They're looking toward the future, Pete. There's restructuring going on, and they're looking toward the future as they really always have.
In the comments, give me a go or no go if you subscribe to Disney Plus. Give me a go or no go. Go. If you subscribe to Disney Plus while we watch this short video that will explain what we are talking about. Here we go.
Towards streaming services.
Nope.
Walt Disney announced Monday it's restructuring its media and entertainment divisions in order to focus on growing its streaming platform, Disney Plus. The news comes as more and more viewers gravitate towards streaming services, and investors urged the company to invest more heavily in the direct-to-consumer business. Under the shakeup, Disney is planning a split and layoffs. Its studios, general entertainment, and sports business will now fall under one division, while distribution and commercialization will be separate. Disney says its creative teams will develop and produce programming for streaming and traditional platforms, while the distribution group will decide where customers see it. The company says it's exceeded its own targets by drawing more than 100 million customers worldwide to Disney Plus, which was launched last November, as well as Hulu and ESPN. Competitor and streaming pioneer Netflix boasts 193 million streamers, but has built that customer base over the past 13 years. Disney chief executive Bob Chapek said in an interview with CNBC the company is planning to pour more money into content, but he did not say if the company would cut its dividend to shareholders to finance the strategy. Chapek also told CNBC there would be layoffs as a result of the, quote, centralization of functions, but did not say how many.
All right. So All right. So let's kind of talk through this. First of all, let's check the comments real quick, buddy. See what's up there. Let's see. I've got my wife says faux. I don't even know faux sizzle. I don't know what she's talking about. I got to go from David. I got to go plus funny. Got to go. Because again, let me show you this graphic, Brian. And this just came out yesterday. By the way, that video was courtesy of Reuters. We thank them for that. Take a look at this video as you and I move to our sides here and pull down our comments from our buddy Jack. Look at the operating revenue that came in. So media networks on the far left, from the yellow line is Q3 of 2019. The green line is Q3 of this year. Even with everything happening with the pandemic and all that, they're doing fine. They're doing fine. In fact, they're making just as much money as the theme parks, the experiences and the products. And look what happened there. Look at the drop in revenue for parks and experiences. So if I can make just as much money as an organization through my streaming service, why am I paying all of this revenue and shows and things in the Disney theme parks that we put out there? Now, as a former Disney employee, this bothers me a little bit, because what this tells me is stop investing in your theme parks, because you get the same out of a lot less. So that concerns me a little bit, because what I worry about is we talk a lot about profit over purpose. I think the Disney theme parks have a purpose. I think we all know what they are, is to make people feel better. So they've got but when profit takes over purpose, you start to get into trouble there. So, but this Disney streaming thing, they're looking. Let me ask you, Brian, are your movie theaters open where you are right now, or are they still closed?
I believe they're still closed.
Yeah. So again, I think the next big Pixar movie is going to be Soul, Soul. It was supposed to come out to the theaters. Disney's already announced we're not doing that. We're going to put it out on Disney Plus on Christmas Day. Now, whether they're going to upcharge for it or not, we don't know, but it's a Pixar movie. You do that. Now you start doing replays of all the other. I mean, the ability to upsell and say $5 more for this and $6 more for this is less than going to the movie theaters. And this is going to be. And plus, Brian, the numbers you heard in that story, it took Netflix 13 years to get 193 million subscribers. It took Disney about a year to get 100 million subscribers. So it's incredible.
Don't you think the pandemic had something to do with that as well?
Agreed. I mean, yeah, I'm buying into that. But this goes back to the striking while the iron's hot. You're seeing a shift in the way people get their entertainment right now. And the more people aren't going to movies and the more people aren't going out, the more they realize, well, do I really miss it? Now, I'm a movie guy. You can ask my wife. We love popcorn and the experience and all that. But we're in a financial state where if we want to drop $12 for a movie and $10 for a thing of popcorn, we can do that and spend $50 on a night out. Or can I just get it on my Disney Plus and subscribe and raise here and there? So this is going to be interesting from a Disney, and we'll keep our eyes on this. Carl brings up Hamilton. Remember when Hamilton was released, and they promoted it, and how many people signed up for Disney Plus just to get Hamilton? How many great movies can they say it's only available on Disney Plus, or streaming shows, or all of those things? When you package ESPN with it, they're already looking at ways that some of these trust me when I say college football games and things like that will soon be, a lot of them possibly on a paid basis, because they own ESPN Plus. And once they start realizing that these contracts with these big networks are up, and the money's just going to roll in. So something we need to think about in our organization.
SEC.
Yeah, because I think our leadership lesson, and you correct me if I'm wrong on this, Brian, is which part of your business feeds the other parts of the business. You and I talk all the time how when we were in the theme parks working there and that side, all of our profits, which were coming great, were going to supplement the Disney stores, because the merchandise area was crashing and all of that. So are all those being funneled back into us? But no, they're all being to save the other side. Right now, every other part of the organization's money is being pulled out to save the theme park side. So again, how do you get those revenues back up and get those experiences still there for people? It's going to be interesting.
And hopefully once we do get a vaccine and we can put this coronavirus problem behind us, I worry, because there was a period in Disney history where the parks were kind of there wasn't a lot of investment in park experiences, and they thought they could get by with doing some stuff on the cheap, and it wound up actually hurting.
There's no doubt that will come back to bite them if they decide not to invest in the Disney show element in all of the, in all of the parks. That'll come back to bite them. So, all right, buddy, that's a big screen of music. So I don't even know why I'm showing that. Let's show this instead. This week, can you hear the closing theme song at least?
I can.
Excellent. We'll close this out with a Did You Know, buddy?
Going back to our subject for over under. Did you know, Pete?
Da-da-da,
1 in 10 eligible voters in the 2020 electorate will be part of the new generation in America, Generation Z. Roughly 24 million will have the opportunity to cast a vote in November. So, we talked about their attention span and their ability to remember and tie things back to brands. This group's political clout will continue to grow steadily in the coming years.
Absolutely. 24 million voters out there. My son just turned 18. He's voting this year. He's one of them. So again, let's use our dollars and our influence where we can. Thanks, Todd. We had a good time. Thanks to all of our new people this week. Thanks to Carl, Jack, Anthony, David joined us this week. Of course, Scott, all of our regulars that are out there. If we didn't say your name, we still appreciate you. And if you're listening on the stream, on the podcast, we appreciate you too. Hope you can listen in your car while you're working out to the best week. No, not the best week. The best what?
The best part of your week. And we ask you
the best hour. The best hour of your week. Absolutely. Absolutely. Go Rays. Hope they're going to wrap it up tonight. Absolutely. And my wife again reminds me that he's 19. Baby, we've been married for only 18 years. I forget some of this stuff. Ha! Oh, mercy. Brian, what's your closing thought that you always tell us?
Hey, just wanted to say thanks, you guys. We appreciate you. Go out there and put some more kindness and some love into the world.
Amen. Let's go be nicer to each other. Thanks, everybody. Have a good week. We'll see you next week. Tell your friends.
You guys.